tonight is going to be a bowl from a board. Basically, it's the easiest way to do segmented work. If you want to get into it, these are 3 examples of it. The big one is advanced bowl from a board, but it is a bowl from a board design. These 2 here are basically a bowl from a board design. It's just a bunch of little scraps glued together to make a board and then go from there. I have a couple of them over here. This is what they start out to be. And actually what I did was I just bought a piece of pine up at Home Depot. It was a 6-foot piece of pine, 5.5 inches wide, so it was a 1x6, 6 foot long, and I was able to get 3 bowls out of it. What you start off with is a piece of wood that is this size. It's 11 inches long, 5.5 inches wide, and the way you figure out how long you make it is double what the width of your board is. So my board was 5.5 inches wide, double that makes it 11 inches long. You get 2 boards like that. If you're doing a 45-degree bowl, and you can use any angle between 45 and 30, and I'll explain how you figure that out. 45-degree bowl will give you a bowl that looks like that. 30 degrees, it's going to be more upright. I think this one here is more of somewhere around 40 degrees instead of, or like 38 degrees, something like that. It's a little bit more upright than that one is. I've gone all the way up to 30 degrees, which makes the bowl really stand up tall. But there's drawbacks to it, and I'll go over that here in a second. When you're doing a 45-degree bowl, you figure out where your outer ring is going to be, how big your bowl is going to be. And then you come in, if you're using 3/4 inch stock, you come in 3/4 of an inch and draw your next circle. Then you come in another 3/4 of an inch and draw your circle. And what will happen is when you do that, you cut these out, the rings will stack exactly on top of each other. And you basically have your bowl. So far, the only waste I have is what I got from my bandsaw cutting the grooves. And all you do is you take a bandsaw, you put your table to whatever angle you want, and you cut your grooves out. Now, I'm going to explain the difference between 30 degrees and 45 degrees. Everybody can see this here. 45 degrees, when you do it, you got to come straight up from here is where your next cut is going to be. On 30 degrees, the distance between here and here is less. On a 45-degree bowl with a 3/4 inch thick stock, your wall thickness is going to start off at about a 1/2 inch thick. So it gives you a little play. Now, if you use 3/4 inch stock and do 30 degrees, you're going to start off with a bowl thickness of just under 3/8 of an inch. So once you start turning it, it's going to get real thin, real quick. To overcome that, start off with a thicker piece of stock. Because the thicker this is, the further you're going to go out till it makes it, and then you come back up again and come straight up and do your next circle in. You'll get a thicker, if you start off with like 1 inch thick stock, you'll be back to a ½ inch thick wall thickness. And the reason why I say that is, if you're not really good at following the lines when you bandsaw, and you go a little bit off on one side, that's going to make that a little bit thinner. And then if you don't get it glued up real straight, and one of your rings shifts a little bit one way or the other, that's going to make it a little thinner too, because you're going to be taking a little bit of stock off of this side and a little bit of stock off of this side to get it back to being centered with the rest of them. And every little bit you start taking off, the walls get thinner and thinner. And that's what happened with that bowl. When Alan started it, it started shifting, and then when I put it on my faceplate, I didn't get it back to dead center where his faceplate was. So everything was shifted. So when I started turning it again, I had to get it trued back up again, and that's why that one is so thin. You can see the light coming through it when you look at the maple part of it. And you can get them, this one here is pretty thin too, but not as thin as that one. But this is a good thickness one here. It's probably a little over a 1/4 inch thick, 3/8 of an inch thick wall thickness on this one.
So on that one there, did you just do a bunch of strips and take more?
Yeah, that's all it was just a whole bunch of, I call these my scrapwood balls. It's just all the little scraps I got left over from making my other stuff. And I've learned that you don't even have to make a complete square board to do them, because this is all going to be waste. Unless you can use this and glue it on here like this, and then your bowl will have corners to it. But I've learned, I've got a little thing laid out, because the piece up here only needs to be real short. So that's why I use the scrapwood, because I don't make actually a complete board. I make the board actually look like this, and then draw it out. So it's more scrap than this is. But I was going to make the one I was going to turn was going to be a square one, then I realized that it won't turn on this lathe, so I was hoping to have the bigger lathe here to be able to turn it, but we're still waiting on that. And you could do this and have a 4-cornered bowl. But if you don't, this is waste. So, like I said, if you're doing scrap boards like that, just glue up enough that you can cover this area, and then just start cutting your half circles out of that. And then you got no waste at all. Everybody clear on that? And these 2 bowls here are going to be giveaways to anybody that wants to make one of these and don't think they can cut one or anything like that. Come up and see me after the demo, and you can have either one of these bowls. You'll just have to glue it all up. And that's the press I use, my bowl press. But you can put it together on your lathe, and I will show you that real quick on how to, you can clamp these together on your lathe. You don't have to have a bowl press to do this. You can do it, you can press the bowls, your rings together on here. So I will show you that here. And there is 2 ways to cut these. If you look at this one, this is more, is this bowl here. It does not have a lip on it. That one there does have a lip. The top ring is the same as this one, and it'll go like this. But it will have a lip on it where you can actually hold onto it or something. And what you do is, this is the first ring you cut. You cut it at 90 degrees. You don't take your saw blade or your table on your bandsaw out till you start cutting the rest of them. You cut the first one at 90 degrees, which will give you that lip that you can, the bowl will come up like this and then flare out, which will give you kind of a handle or a lip on it. So there's one of these up here that has the lip and one of them doesn't. So whichever one you guys want, you guys can fight over it. Any questions on this so far?
Stagger the joint size.
You can. The one that I'm going to turn tonight, they line right up. And I'm just trying it on this. Some of them I've done with like cherry or that's got a lot of figure to it or walnut. I'll line them up and it kind of gives you a cool feathering grain pattern to it. And pine is really good for that because it has, the dark and the light colored grains. And I'm hoping that once this gets all smoothed out, it'll look kind of like a tiger stripe deal to it. And I'm going to try dyeing it. But you will get a stronger glue joint if you offset these. And that's what, like those are. They're offset. The rings are offset from each other. But I've done several of them like this too, and I've never had one. Well, actually, there's that one over there that we use as the ticket. That was bowl number 2 that I ever turned in my life. And if you look at it, it exploded. Let me have that real quick. This was my second bowl I ever turned in my life. It exploded on me because I got a catch. And the reason why I got a catch is I didn't know anything about wood turning. And I was using a spindle roughing gouge when I turned it and got a catch right here on the lip, and it exploded. But if you look at it, it never cracked at any of the glue joints. The wood cracked before the glue gave way.
That's the rim that you're talking about.
Do what?
That one's got a rim on it.
Yes, this one does have a rim on it. So I do have one here that has a rim on it. I'm not proud of that, but I've probably turned over 300-400 bowls now, but this was bowl 2. But like I said, I didn't know anything about wood turning when I started. And now I know, don't use a spindle gouge to turn bowls. Hey, we all make mistakes starting off, so this was my mistake. But again, like I said, this one was out of cherry, and I probably did this one almost 6 years ago. But this to that, I got a lot of stuff up here. Any questions on anything I've gone over so far? Stop me if you got a question, because I'm going to turn this, but a lot of it is just explaining how to get the pieces cut, because a lot of people don't understand, how this is done. It's segmented stuff. It's, hey, I can't do segmented stuff. It's too much calculating and stuff like that. So far, it's basically, well, Barry?
You can go through your glue-up process?
Yes. All my glue-up process, all I do is take the ring and I get 2 little strips of wax paper and I set them underneath this side and this side, put a little glue here, a little glue there, put them together like this, and it's called a rub joint. Just rub these 2 together, back and forth, less than 5 seconds or so, and you'll start feeling it get really, really tight and hard to do it, and then just get them like back together again, and let them set on the table. No clamps, no nothing. If you can get that friction going and get your glue starting to tack up, just let them set there like that, and they'll, as long as your table is flat. and I'm using a door, an old closet door that's a solid, one of the hollow core doors, cheap doors. I set that up on a table saw, and that's flat enough for me to slide those together, and it glues right up. And I'm just using Type 1 wood glue to do it. So just a little glue on both spots, rub them together, let them set for a couple hours until they harden up. Now, then once I got that done, I made myself a sanding disc. And all it is a piece of MDF with a 12-inch sticky. And I was up at Woodcraft today, and I think they sell 3 of them for like $12 or something like that. $13 for 12 of them, or 3 of them. So it's not that expensive to make yourself a sanding disc. And all I do is I put it on the lathe. And now you got yourself a disc sander. You got like $1 worth of $2 worth of MDF and a piece of sandpaper and a face plate. You got a sanding disc. And then once the rings glue up, I try to wipe most of the glue off of it, but the side that has your wax paper on it is going to have some squeeze out on it. All you do is turn your lathe on real slow, hold that up to it, and you can sand the disc real quick.
What grit is that?
It's like 60 grit, 80 grit, something like that. You're basically you're just getting smooth.
Do you train or anything you're working before you start?
Now when I'm doing the scrap boards, because some of the isn't the same height and stuff, I'll just glue it all together and then just run it through my thickness planning and get it all the same thickness. But if you're using stock wood, it's all the same thickness, so usually you don't have to. Basically, you're just touching up where your glue joints were, getting the glue off and stuff. And basically, that's as fast as you got to do it. Just, and it's flat enough. But that's basically how you do your rings. Once you get all your rings together, like I said, you can make yourself a press, and that the screw crank part of it cost me like $19 or $29 at Rockwood. The rest of it is just plywood glued together and made. You could use a piece of all thread and do the same thing. Make yourself a hand crank and a piece of all thread. I just use that because the threads are more coarse, so you don't have to turn it as much. But whatever you want, all thread will work just great. How to glue these together without a bowl press? Where is the box? I'm used to having mine already set up there. You can do the same thing. Use your disc here. Get it lined up. And it's easier to see it. This is hard too because I don't have the angles going up. But all you would do is get it lined up, lock that down, tighten it up. You're basically got a press right here. Just watch it that when the glue starts running out, that you got something on your ways, or you're going to get glue on your ways. But you're basically you're making a press right here. Any questions on how to do that?
If you've got a one-way wine center,
Yeah.
you can screw the adapter on for 3/4 to 1 inch.
Uh-huh.
Then your faceplate will screw right on.
Right.
So that everything.
She had a question, do you do one ring at a time or all in one?
You do it one at a time. You start from this end and work your way up. This is just a piece of that leftover pine that I had left, and it is screwed to my faceplate. This is going to be the sacrificial piece. This is actually going to be the bottom of it. This bowl here does not have the feet a foot on it like this one does.
So that bottom one's solid then?
This one is solid, yes. It is just like this. And then the next ring glues on top of that. And my faceplate, or my sacrificial plate is glued to this. This is where I'll part it off in between these two. Now, if you wanted a foot on here, you would just glue another piece on here and then put your faceplate on top of that. Like I did on those two. The big one does not have a foot on it, as you can see, but the two smaller ones do have feet on it. Some other people like it with the foot on it, it's raised up, but I didn't start the big one. Alan started that one, I finished it. And I wasn't about to put a foot on that one since it was already started. But that's how you do those. But you start with this one, get it glued on to your faceplate. It takes about 10 minutes or so for the glue to start packing up. You can pull it apart and glue the next one on. And about every 10 minutes you can start gluing.
Do you glue the two halves and each ring together?
Yeah, you glue your rings together using that friction rub and let it set for like 8 hours and get them glued together and then sand each ring. Once you get them all sanded, then you can start assembling your bowl. And you start with the smallest ring first, then the next one. And I did this, today's Thursday, Tuesday night. I cut all these Tuesday morning before work. Glue them all up and the rings. Cut them and glue them all up in about an hour and a half done. All three of these I cut. Glued this one up, glued the rings together, and then that night went downstairs and glued the bowl together. And it was about every 10 minutes I was able to glue the next ring on. It's not dry yet, but it's enough that they're not going to move. And then you glue the next ring on, then you glue the next ring. I have heard and seen on some shows that when you try to glue this one onto this one, they'll start sliding on you a little bit. I've seen on a couple shows, drop some salt on it. Table salt. I guess it's the coarseness of it that'll keep it from sliding. I haven't tried it, but I've seen people say that it keeps the stuff from sliding.
Okay, and the way I do it is I put my faceplate on the leg and then it works through this chuck and drill down a 16th of an inch.
Okay.
Put a 1/4 inch bit and put a little bitty groove in there. And then on the other piece, the sacrificial piece, you know where the center is at.
Yeah, and I do the same.
And then you do the same thing. You put just a little bit of 1/4 inch
Yeah.
hole in that. And you take a sharp piece of 1/8 inch piece of dowel and put them together and that keep them.
Right. But and usually what I do when I get to get these two lined up to start with is I got a jig that screws in here that has a hole in the center of it. And I can drill a hole all the way through my sacrificial piece, which I line it up directly with this one because I know where the center piece was with this one. That's the most important thing is to try to get these rings glued fairly center on it. You don't want it shifted one way or the other because, like I said, the more it gets shifted, to get it round again, you got to take more off of one side on the outside and then on the inside on the other side. So your wall thickness is going to go real quick. And I can't remember who, about 2 years ago, somebody brought one out to Paul's and wanted to turn it. And his glue joints were just the glue joints were off, and when he cut it on the bandsaw was really wavy, and we started turning it, it ended up having a hole in the side of it because it was just so far off, and like I said, once you start turning it, your wall thickness is going to go quick.
So what he was saying was you drill a hole all the way through, or you drill a hole? He drills a hole.
I drill a hole all the way through my sacrificial piece.
To get to the base of the hole.
Yeah. And what I have is, I got a 1x8 bolt that I cut the head off of, and then I drill a hole through it. So I can screw that into here, and then I can drop a nail through that and drill a hole the same diameter as through this, and then it'll be sticking out the bottom of my face out of the sacrificial piece, and then I have a hole, a mark on my bottom thing, and I can line it right up and then press it together. And all it is a 1x8 bolt that I cut the head off of, and it screws right in here.
And it's just a reference point?
Mm-hmm.
Line it up.
Yep.
Now, do you put glue through that hole?
No, because as soon as you glue this base plate to that, the glue's going to come oozing out the hole. I use a lot of glue. I'd rather spend $1.50 on glue and instead of shoring it, and the thing blows apart on me. I mean, I call it you can come up here and look at this one before I start. I ain't got glue running out everywhere on it. That I'd rather, waste 50 cents worth of glue than spend all my time doing all this, and then you get almost done with it and it falls apart on you because you didn't use enough glue. When I get done gluing it, my fingers are covered with glue. Any questions so far on how to do this? Fairly simple, right? Everybody understand how to glue the rings together, how to cut it? If not, just ask. But I can go back over it again. Or come up later and we can go over it.
The same thing on your press, you do one design?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it only takes about 5 minutes or 10 minutes for it to tack up. Because if you try doing two, one's going to go this way, one's going to go that way. And you're sitting there trying to, hold it and keep it from one squishing this way and one squishing that way. So usually I'll just put one on there, crank it down, let it tack up for 5 minutes, crank it back up again, stick another one on there, and do it. I've tried doing 2 to 3 rings at a time, and it's just, I haven't tried the salt trick though, but without it, they go every different direction.
I saw somewhere where a guy super glued little pieces around the.
And I do that on the actual segmented ones that I do. I do that. I use hot glue melt and little glue blocks, and it keeps it lined up because those I want to get the lines directly lined up all the way up. So I do that on my actual 16 segment rings and stuff. But on these, it's fairly easy to get it lined up because you're just going with the slope. And like so far, the only waste I have on this one is the 2 pieces, that last ring that I didn't glue on, and the sawdust that came off of this when I cut it. Now, turning this, I'm probably not going to have very much sawdust or wood shaving come off of here that wouldn't fill this up. But if it was a true piece of wood, a log, I could fill up a 5-gallon bucket full of wood shavings. They're very little waste when you turn one of these and make one of these. And they're nice looking little balls. We'll go ahead and start turning this. If nobody has a question, Barry?
Yes, when you're gluing up you drew up the faces on the end, so that's dimensional rubber, you just glue the one ring to the next without screwing up the face.
Yes, because it is dimensional, and on this one, the pine will flex enough that if you got a little bow to it, once you squeeze it together, it'll take that bow out of it. But usually, yes, I will glue one ring on it, and then bring it on, put it on the lathe, and true it up a little bit, and then glue the next ring on. But this pine is really soft enough that if you got a little bow to it, as soon as you put some pressure to it, it flattens right out again.
Did you drew up the rings on that, on the other bolts?
On those, no, they would just,
Make, you just press it together.
Yeah. if you look at this one, it's got a little bit of a gap right here, but as soon as I press down on it, it goes away. There's just a little bit of spring on it, but the ring's so small in thickness and stuff that you can squeeze that. Once you put the glue on it and put a little pressure to it, it flattens right out. But yeah, you can, run it through a thickness planer, or a thickness sander if you want, and flatten everything out to make it just perfect. But again, trying to do this where you don't have to have a whole wood shop to do it. If you wanted to, you could true it up just by holding it up here, truing this face up. But if you just true up one side this way, glue it on, then turn it around, and you can true up the face with a tool, and to get it perfect. But you can do these real quick.
Keith, you're still using Typon with the red cap?
These were done, I stopped using that. Actually, I just haven't bought any. I'm using the translucent right now. It dries clear instead of yellow. And I've been using that on all my open segmented stuff, because when you get a little squeeze on that, you can't see it because it's clear. It really doesn't show up. And that's all I've been buying is the translucent glue anymore, because that's what I've been using on my open segmented. But you could use Typon, the original, the red cap, and it worked just as well on these, because you're not going to see your glue joints anyways, because it's going to be buried inside there. But this was glued together with translucent, because basically that's all I have available at the time.
I know you had said that when you and I were, when you taught me how to make it, you said not to use the green cap, Typon 3, because it would stain, but you were using the 1, and we had good results with 1.
Right, and the 3 is waterproof, and I've had problems with that on cherry. I did a couple balls in the Typon 3, which is supposedly waterproof, and I did it on a true 12-sided ring, and it made it look like a brick pattern, because it actually, where the glue joints are, it turned darker than the rest of it. The only thing I can come up with is it is the glue that caused that problem. Because I've never had it happen on any other cherry bowls, but the 2 or 3 that I did with the Typon 3, you can physically, not close up from 5 feet away, you can see that there's a real brick pattern, and it almost made it look like mortar lines in it and stuff, where it doesn't disappear. So I've stopped using the Typon 3 on most of my stuff just for that. Most of my bowls aren't designed to be, put in the dishwasher or anything like that. I mean, you can use them for chips and stuff like that, and just wipe them out, with a wet, damp cloth or something like that. But most of these are like candy dishes or fruit bowls or something like that. When I'm doing these, most of the time I try to do the inside first and get that smooth, and then I can work the outside, because if I want to get a real thin wall bowl, I can put like that sanding disc up against this side and keep it from vibrating, and I can work the outside smooth, and you can get a real thin bowl wall on it, or you can do the outside and work the inside by holding a glove up on this side and holding it from vibrating, but we'll go through that, both steps here in a second. And can you still hear me okay? I'm going to get rid of this film stop because I know I'm going to stick my arm right into the end of that. And it's fairly smooth already. And as you can see, you know, a little bit of shavings on the ground, but not, you know, a lot. I'm going to go ahead and work on the outside here real quick. And don't ask me what speed it is at. It's whatever. I'm going by just sound and feel. Turn at whatever speed you feel comfortable at. Already getting a little harmonics off of it, so and it's not even down to a half inch or quarter inch yet. It's just the pine. It's a soft wood, so it's going to vibrate a little bit on me. somebody didn't do a real good job of following the lines on bandsaw cuts, but I gotta go a little bit thinner. Watch the rim here. It does get razor sharp, and if you accidentally, rub your hand across it, it will give you a nice cut across there. But basically right now it's, just refining the wall thickness and everything, but as you can see, it's kind of got a cool, you can see it on the camera there. It does have kind of a cool grain pattern to it. And at that point, then I would just, I'm not going to cut it off because I want to finish it up, but if I wanted to get this a little thinner on the inside to smooth out the inside wall, and I'm not sure if this link's going to let me do it or not. Let's see. That's moving up pretty good. I can look at it a little bit longer, just smoothing it out. Get in here to the bottom a little bit. And a little bit more on the bottom too. That looks pretty good. Like I said, it just needs a little bit more refining. You want to come up and take a look at it. Again, anybody that wants one of the put-togethers, come up and grab one.
So if you were done with that,
Uh-huh.
would you park that off?
Yeah, just park right here, between your waste block and your, because my screws aren't going all the way through my waste block. they probably only go about 3/4 of the way through.
So if you wanted just a little bit longer foot, you could have glued another piece of pine on.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I did on like these. I went down one more ring, like those are marked. Like I said, I'll go down, like on this one's really, really small. And then I glued another piece, bigger piece on that, and then to make a foot. But those I didn't go very small on, they're marked to go smaller, but then the glue surface of where your faceplate glues onto drops down by half of your glue surface. But I didn't want anybody to get hurt when they tried that, and it came apart there. But myself, I don't care about myself, so I'll go a little small on the bottom of it. But yeah, you just basically glue. I would use this as the foot, and then glued another piece on here for my sacrificial waist block.
If you put that in like reverse or jump that and then.
Yeah, I use one of my donut chucks, and once I got it, I won't part it all the way up here, because then what I can do is I'll part 3/4 of the way through or so, or almost all the way through it, and then what I can do is put this on my donut chuck and shove this up my tailstock into here, and it'll center it right back up again. So then I can part the rest of it off and finish the foot, or finish the bottom of it, dish it in, and I can get it lined right back up again. Because if you shove your tailstock with the live center in it, it'll line it right back up again.
Now you said on this one, you lined the rings up.
Yeah, on this one I lined them straight up. If you look at it,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
they're lined directly up. You can offset them, and you'll get a stronger glue pattern because you're not got a weak spot right here. But again, the glues are stronger than a wood. So this I wouldn't consider a weak joint, but
Just makes it happen.
right. I mean, if you want this where like they all line up like that, but if you look at one of these, if you turn any of those, you know, in opposite directions and stuff, you can see where the grain pattern would just be all over the place on it. And that's kind of like what these do. You know, you got different pieces going in all different directions. So, any questions? I expect to see a bunch of these for President's Challenge. There's going to be a bowl from a board. Like I said, there's two up here that's already cut.